Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. You know, I went a fairly long time without ranting about anything here, but I'm going to rant today because there is this thing on the Marvel website that popped up today about a new Captain Marvel series, a new Captain Marvel #1 coming out in January 2019. And, actually, I'm going to rant about this, but you know what? I actually consider myself a fairly positive person, and I know if you listen to my little channel here, you might be snickering right now about the fact that I'm calling myself a positive person. Now, I realize I'm a critical person, but I would say I'm a really positive person. I love my life. I think it's great. I think my life is a giant slice of cake with a whole bunch of ice cream put on top of that. And I love my life, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And I like hard work. I'm one of those people who actually feels fulfilled by hard work. And I always think to myself, good enough is never good enough. That's why I'm so critical, because, you can always make it better. And so I'm a critical person. I realize that. But I think of myself as a very positive person because nothing phases me because I love my life. And that's why I'm so critical. That's why I'm going to rant about this thing, because this thing needs to be criticized. Because I'm going to read it to you. Okay, it's from the Marvel website. Now, you got to realize that this is the first inkling of this from Marvel themselves on Marvel's own website about Marvel's flagship character in a new #1 series under her name. That's what this article is about. Okay? And I'm going to read it to you. I don't usually read it. I'll also put the link in the description if you want to look at it, because I'll give a couple of stills as well from this article, but it's only a couple of paragraphs really. And it links to another article from the New York Times, which actually doesn't have anything more than what it states here, except for maybe 1 or 2 lines more. And there's a bunch of normie stuff for normies, talking about how Captain Marvel's uniform used to be so sexist and all these kinds of ridiculous things that the progressive people who read the New York Times would want to hear about. But all of the really high points are just hit in this little article in Marvel itself. So I'm going to read it to you. Like I said, it's only a couple of paragraphs long, but you got to hear this thing. You really got to hear it. So it says, what's the title of it? The title is Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnero will take Captain Marvel on her next adventure. Captain Marvel #1 will debut in January 2019 with a cover by Amanda Conner. And then the article itself says, Carol Danvers will continue her reign as the boss of space in 2019. Captain Marvel #1 will make its debut January 2nd, 2019, with Kelly Thompson on board as the writer and art by Carmen Carnero, with color by Tamara Bonvillain. Also revealed in the announcement was the powerful cover for the first issue by Amanda Conner. This issue will mark a new journey for Earth's mightiest hero after celebrating 50 years since the introduction of Carol Danvers. Earth's mightiest hero? Good heavens. Really? Captain Marvel #1 will bring Danvers back to New York City, where she will face new threats and obstacles. According to the New York Times, the series will reconnect Captain Marvel with allies like Iron Man and her best friend, Spider-Woman, as well as offer new relationships. Thompson told the Times there will definitely be some romance, and it may be someone we all know and have seen before in Marvel Comics. And then it gives you the cover for this new #1, which they call a powerful cover. Now let me show you this thing. This is horrible. This is a horrible cover. This is a #1. Look, the background is better than the foreground. That's not actually supposed to happen, She looks like a cartoon. You want to know why she looks like a cartoon? Because Sana Amanat is pushing Marvel Rising, and this is how Captain Marvel looks in Marvel Rising. Because Marvel Rising is supposed to be for fathers to watch with their daughters. And so the father takes the daughter to the comic store when he goes to get his comics, and the little girl is going to look and see this issue of Captain Marvel on the shelf and go, "Hey, Daddy, look, there's the woman from that horrible show that you made me watch." Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Anyways, it goes on and says, Marvel.com spoke with Thompson for some additional insight into continuing the story of Carol Danvers during one of the most exciting times the character has ever seen. The writer said, It was an awesome opportunity, more important now than ever, as well as a chance to connect with existing fans and new fans discovering Captain Marvel for the first time. Thompson said Captain Marvel #1 will be a brand new jumping on point that will spring off the events of Margaret Stohl's Life of Captain Marvel, a series that said she loved. A series that said she... That's great English there, eh, what? A series that said she loved, and credited the creative team of Stohl and artists, and she goes on to mention the artist and the colorers for that book. And then it gives you this portfolio piece. I'll give it to you. And it's basically a bunch of covers from old Captain Marvel issues. That's all it is. It has really nothing to do. Nothing to do with anything. It's supposed to be, I guess, from the first issue, but really it has nothing to do with anything as far as I can see. And then it says, Thompson said that Captain Marvel is meant to serve as a good access point to fall in love with Carol Danvers. She added, she's so relatable, so human, so fallible, and she always gets up. Previously, Thompson wrote for Carol Danvers in A-Force and Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps with Kelly Sue DeConnick. She said that after taking Carol on so many journeys, the new series feels like coming home. And then it gives you this piece. I take it it's from issue #1. Now, this is all of the story that you're actually going to get, is this picture of Carol fighting this monster in New York City. Now, it mentions something in the New York Times article about her defending New York City from monsters, but I take it they're just referring to this picture because they saw it as well. That's pretty much it. And then it ends by saying, Captain Marvel #1, written by Kelly Thompson, with art by Carmen Carnero, color by Tamara Bonvillain, and a cover by Amanda Connor, goes on sale Wednesday, January 2nd. Stay tuned to Marvel.com for more news about this series and more. And that's the end of the article. Now, what it says on the actual article from New York Times, like I said, it's mostly just stuff for normies, but it does have this 1 or 2 sentences of difference. It says, this is from Kelly Thompson herself. She says, the first arc has some female guest stars in an unexpected way. Miss Thompson said, the first issue also includes some costume weirdness, she hinted. It's a bit of a risk, but I think people are going to respond to it. And that is it. That is it. Can you see the problem with this article? Am I the only one who sees the problem with this article? What is missing from this article? Again, this article on the Marvel website about the flagship Marvel hero in a new #1 series. What is missing from this article? What is missing? A story! They have nothing about a story in here at all. Nothing! Oh, what does it say? Carol Danvers is the boss of space. Okay. And what? She's going back to New York. That one thing that you get from the picture that I already showed you, that she's in New York, and that she's going to face new threats and obstacles. Really? You got a comic book character facing threats and obstacles. Wow, that's specific to the story now, isn't it? What else does she say? She says that Captain Marvel will reconnect with Iron Man and friends like Spider-Woman. Wow, that is a shocker there. That's amazing. You got a superhero connecting with other superheroes. Amazing storytelling there. As well as new relationships. So she's actually going to meet new people. Wow again. And what? She says, there will definitely be some romance, and it may be someone we all know. So, you know what, lady? Definitely and maybe shouldn't go together in the same sentence. They contradict each other. So that means nothing. And this is what happens. Marvel.com actually asks her for additional insight into the story of Carol Danvers. And what does she do? What does Kelly Thompson do? She gives non-answers. She says, it's an awesome opportunity. More important now than ever. And it's going to be a springing off point from Margaret Stohl's Life of Captain Marvel. Really, it's actually going to be a new series right after the series that came before it. That's all you're saying there, lady. What is this? You know what this is? This is just a puff piece to put the names of these people who have written and drawn and colored this book and any other Captain Marvel book for the last couple of years, and to put their names out there as many times as possible. How many times? How many times do they mention Kelly Thompson's name? Like 8 times. How many times do they mention this Carmen Carnero? Like 6? And then Tamara Bonvillain is mentioned at least twice. And then you have Margaret Stoll, who's mentioned at least twice or maybe 3 times. And then they have all the other people who worked on that book. And then you got to put in every other name of these people, even the colorists. So basically it's Marvel saying, hey, look, we have all these slots, these jobs, and we're filling them up with progressive people, with women and people who are progressive. We're doing it. Look, here, that's what we're doing. It's got nothing to do with the story because they don't give you any story at all. You know what? When you write a story, you're actually supposed to hook people with your story so that they want to read it. This has nothing of story in it. Nothing. I don't even think she has the full story arc done for the first story arc. They have enough to do maybe some art for issue number 1. But I don't think she even has the story arc done for number 1. It doesn't appear so. She can give you nothing of the story, even when pressed on it by Marvel themselves. She gives you nothing. This shows you how important a story is to Marvel Comics right now. 0. They don't care about stories. They don't care. You know what they care about? What she says down here in the middle of the article. What does she say? She says, it's a good access point to fall in love with Carol Danvers. That's what this is. As I have said in a number of other videos, Marvel Comics does not actually produce comics anymore. It does not produce comics because there are no stories in these comics. All these comics are the free magazine, the equivalent of a free magazine that you get at the movie theater to put your butt into that theater seat again to watch a new movie. That's it. Except you pay $5 for them at Marvel. That's all that they are. They have no regard for story whatsoever. All they are books, which are free magazines, to get you to go see the movie. That's it. Nothing of story. Nothing. And again, I have to repeat, this is the first time that Marvel talks about this new series, this number 1 of a new series of their flagship character on their own website. And they give you nothing of story. 0. This is pathetic. This is the death of Marvel. Just, you're looking at it right here. The death of Marvel Comics. Because they don't care about stories anymore. Anyways, if I've given you any... Oh, no, actually, you know what? I don't give you anything new to think about in a ranting video. Let's see, what would I say? If you've laughed or even snickered at me during this ranting video, hit like. Hit the shield in the lower right-hand corner of your screen to subscribe. And then call me a crazy person in the comments. Go right ahead and do so. If I'm the only one who sees this, call me a crazy person. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.